moving forward, taking that action. It may happen, it may not. And it's just about like just putting one step in front of the other and taking those steps and doing the action. That is so important. And in the process, you discover what is. You discover, okay, this isn't for me. You cut that away, and then you're able to open up that space for what is for you to come to you.
Hey, beautiful soul, and welcome to Dear Body, I'm Listening, the podcast for women navigating chronic symptoms, invisible illness, and that daily dance between hope and exhaustion. If you've ever been told it's all in your head, well, this podcast is for you because your body is not lying and neither are you. Hi, I'm Donna Piper, movement therapist, Pilates instructor, and chronic illness navigator. After years of being dismissed, misdiagnosed, and doing everything quote unquote right, but still getting sicker, I created this space to tell our truth. Here we talk about swelling, brain fog, nervous system crashes, and the kind of symptoms that don't always show up on lab results. We're going to explore lymph, breath, movement, self-trust, latest research, books, relationships, basically everything. All from a place of compassion and honesty. This isn't about fixing your body. It's about finally being heard and getting some answers. Hey, beautiful soul, welcome back. I'm so excited to introduce you to today's guest, Didi Selwa. She's a certified transformational life coach and a level 2 TranscenDance facilitator. She's based here in Los Angeles. I used to live right next to her, but now I live a little further down the coast in Newport. I miss her. But anyway, Didi's all about helping women break free from the beliefs that keep them small and reconnect with their confidence, passion, and purpose. Through her workshops and programs, she creates spaces where real transformation happens. And I can tell you that really does. I've been in her groups. She is amazing. And this is a place where you could drop old stories, move your body, and start living from a place of joy and truth. You're going to love this conversation. It's going to be honest, uplifting, and full of those oh my gosh, me too moments. So settle in, take a breath, and let's dive in. Welcome, Didi. Again, all the things I said was true. She is total. I've been in her mastermind and a few other things. I've done her TranscenDance. We've done workshops together. She is really, really magnificent. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Donna, for having me on your amazing podcast. I love the work that you're doing. And it's so fun to connect with you again, my good friend.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for having me on here.
Oh, you're welcome. So I always like to start with kind of what is the story behind the healer? Like we all got into this because you know my whole story and I've changed my business plan and careers several times, but it's what's kind of right in front of me and the passion is right in front of me. So I'd love to hear your story and anything you want to tell about your journey or about why you love what you do and how did you get into not just life coaching, but TranscenDance.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you. Well, it started back in the day. I love personal development back when I was in my 20s, and I worked for a bank for many, many years, kind of just doing the grind because that's what I needed to do at the time until I find my purpose and my passion. And it took many, many years before I found. Although, like you said, it is there. We just don't uncover it. It's there speaking to us and we're not listening. So I did have a passion for personal development. Whenever I would see a life coach, even though it wasn't that prevalent back then like it is now, I would think, oh, that's so cool. Or a motivational speaker. I'm like, oh, I'd love to do that. And then dismiss that thought because oh, how am I going to do that? So working with a coach that is certified by the Brave Thinking Institute, which now I'm certified by too, got my certification in 2019. And I worked through a program called Dream Builder, and it just really spoke to me. I loved the mindset aspect and the spiritual aspect of it. Then all of a sudden, after almost 25 years of service with the bank, my department closes, I get laid off. But it was divine timing because I had the tools and I was at a space in my life where I was able to be like, okay, now let me really explore what I would love. And through, self-reflection and inner work, realizing like that's life coaching. So I'm going to go for it. So I did. And with the TranscenDance, how that came about, it is through the Brave Thinking Institute as well. And I loved to dance. And I really didn't think about integrating TranscenDance into my coaching practice. However, the founder, Jennifer Joy Jimenez, I connected with her and I went on one of her retreats and realized, yeah, this is something that I do want to integrate into my coaching practice. So it was again kind of divine timing. So I got certified in TranscenDance and then went to another amazing retreat and did my level 2 TranscenDance facilitator training.
What a beautiful story. And I like that the universe kind of nudged you or maybe gave you a little push. Like there's,
Right?
oh, this is what I want to do. I don't have another job. Okay, let's do it. But I do really like, and I've always like, so, everyone out there listening and watching, Didi and I are friends. So that's not one of the reasons why I have her on. I mean, it is, but I also know how valuable she is as a coach. And one of the things that is very strong in you, which I've always admired, is your faith. Not every coach is out there with their faith and you integrate it, and you don't integrate it in a way where it's like you have to have the same faith as you or like you really need it's faith based in the meaning that it comes from like you have a lot of trust in your faith and it emanates gently through to give other people permission to kind of explore that as well as if they want it to be. So it's not like separate from mind work. And it's a very nice, like clean way to integrate and have that. So I just want to voice that because it is part of who you are. And it's probably what drew you to, I always mess up her name, Mary Ann William, Mary, what is her name? I always say it the wrong one.
Mary Morrissey.
I always want to call her Williamson, Mary Morrissey. So that's probably what drew you to that. She's much more spiritual. If anyone doesn't know about her, she's been in a coach in an online space for a long time, right? And not just online, but in workshops and Tony Robbins-esque, but with a different flair, right?
Right.
So, how do you connect your faith? What is it about those aspects of it? Or how do you see your mindset work and really God or whatever you want to, and when we say God or if we talk about this, it's whatever your faith in what you believe. It's that unseen thing, that je ne sais quoi thing that keeps you kind of connected. And Didi didn't think I was going to ask her about this, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
that's
So,
good.
so I'm putting her on the spot.
No, that's great. I always felt like I was spiritual. I always felt connected to my higher power, which to me, that is God. And I grew up with a Catholic upbringing, and a lot of bits and pieces of it didn't resonate with me, but I am grateful for it, for my faith, because it did instill in me that faith of God, of Jesus, of having that higher power as part of our life that drives us. And when I started doing the work with Mary Morrissey, what I loved about her coaching and the programs that now I'm certified to coach is the fact that it had that spiritual element, which I think was missing in all the other things. Like I did do Tony Robbins and walk on the
Haven't we all?
and I know, right? And love it. It's great. I'm not dismissing it, but you also have to find what works for you, what speaks to you and your soul in order for it to actually have a transformational impact in your life. Not just, I listen to it, it sounds great, I'm going to do this. And then you feel bad and guilty because you never did it. It didn't change your life, although it could have. So I did do a program, and through that, because I was completely disconnected from any, religion or church at that time. And it just slowly started building my spirituality more and more. And I felt called to find a church, which I did find a great church, which helped build that spiritual aspect in my life and my faith. And, I would say I'm a mind, body, spirit coach, transformational life coach. I work on mind, body, spirit. And then I'd have to check myself because I'd be like, okay, I'm really good with the mindset, with the mind work. I got a little bit of the spirit, and I wasn't that comfortable when I started coaching, even talking about it. Like for me, it was such a personal, private thing that it took me a while to be able to like do it and give myself permission to be okay with it. And of course, that comes from my higher power that gives me that strength to do it. And then when I did got into the transcendence aspect in my programs, I would be like, oh, I don't know how to put this in there. Like, oh, they're gonna think I'm weird. Like, okay, let's get up and move. But I was like, no, I'm out of integrity if I say I'm mind, body, spirit, and I'm leaving the body part out or the spirit part out. I always have the mind in there.
Yes, the comfortable place. But I think that's an important point because, I talk a lot about shame. I think it's universal. I think a lot of people have a lot of shame for a lot of different reasons, right? It's not good, bad, whatever, we have it, right? And I think you work with a lot of people, and shame somehow is always involved in there, and transformational work. And like you said, for you, you felt out of integrity that if you weren't working on all three, and there's not like a shame element, but anytime we're not doing the thing that we think we should, like we know what we're doing and not, right? We can't lie to ourselves and be like, oh, no, I really am. I mean, I guess you could, but it's like a mental disorder, but whatever. But we know what we're doing and we're not doing, and we know what feels good and not. And that having that acceptance really is like, okay, I do want to talk about the spiritual aspect of it. That is important of me. And how do I talk about it? And how do I get comfortable? Because I think transformation, I know for me, is uncomfortable. Like you want to be different, right? It's like it sounds cool. Like when you mentioned Tony Robbins, yeah, he's super inspiring. And you do, if anyone's ever listened to him, even if you think he's silly or whatever, listen to something. That man is he's been popular for a reason because he is like an amazing speaker, right? But with transformation, it has to have a anchor, right? And it's uncomfortable. And so I know you lead a women's mastermind and lots of different things. Talk about how you support people through that uncomfortableness of transformation.
Right. Well, I think part of it is, first of all, just having being a safe space, right? So I know you and the work that you do are kind of the same thing. Like people feel there's just a calmness and there's a non-judgmental aspect that just people feel that and they know that. And so that's part of it is just being you and being authentic so that people feel safe to do the same. And so that's part of the thing. Like, can you repeat the question? I got
Yeah, just how like, when people okay, so here's a perfect example. This is more therapy, but it's also life coaching. Part of the skills I needed to learn and you learn as a coach is that people are you might see the transformation. It's like the coach is there for like the fourth, if that little square diagram, what you see, what they see, blah, blah, blah. And then it's your blind spot. So as the coach, usually what I have experienced is like that blind spot is people like having a hard time with the uncomfortableness
oh, right. Sure. Yeah.
of the transformation. Like you could see it, it's almost there. And then they're like, oh, I'm going to go on vacation for a month. Or not that you shouldn't go on vacation, but there something, So what are some of the tools that you have seen been affected? Is that when you bring in TranscenDance, or what do you like to use to help people in the nitty-gritty of the transformation? Because you're very practical. Like you said, you're in the mind a lot. So that's why I really, really like your work is you have it all, but you're like, okay, but if you're not actually doing it, like
Right.
what's the
Yes. And that's the thing with growth. It's uncomfortable. We kind of convince ourselves that where we're at is comfortable because it feels safe because it's what we know. But it's not really comfortable because we're wanting to move forward. We're wanting to transform and create this vision that we have for our life. And then we get stuck by the paradigms, the beliefs that we have about ourselves. And it's really sneaky how that comes about because it comes off as very practical. Well, you don't have the money. Okay, I can look at my bank account. Yeah, maybe I don't, but or you don't have the time. I look at my schedule and think like, oh, yeah, I don't know where I'm going to squeeze this in. But the thing is that if we make it a priority and start taking those steps, it's just taking even like a baby step. So that kind of helps to overcome that uncomfortableness. It's taking just that little baby step that, okay, I can do this. I can pick up the phone and make this one phone call, or I can go online and research this one thing. Or if I wanted to create a mastermind group, okay, how would I do that? It doesn't cost me anything to envision it, imagine it, and explore it, even in my own head and time and whatever. And then that kind of helps motivate you and get you like, well, okay, well, maybe I could. It's really having those tools to overcome and even the thought processes to repattern, to knowing what to say to yourself to overcome and repattern that uncomfortableness in order to move forward. And acknowledging all the good that we do. I think, we do a lot of work around being grateful and proud of what we do. And that is to help combat that uncomfortableness so that we can be like, okay, yeah, you know what? I did do something. I got out of bed today, I didn't feel like getting out of bed today. Like you celebrate yourself for that and then moving forward from there.
I like what you said. So it's just like breaking it down to looking at it, not all the huge things you're going to do, but the tinier steps to do them, then to see if you really even want to do it. Right. Because sometimes when we think that we want to transform and we want to do the stuff, once we get into it, we're just like, oh, geez, this is not really what I thought. So I love that. And then to celebrate yourself, I love just that you said just getting out of bed. My chronic illness stuff, and I mean, we're friends and I shared some of it, but I don't think I've ever really shared all of it with you. And I know you have lots of other friends that have, various things going on in their lives. But, one of the thing when you have a chronic, especially invisible illness is that some days you just don't have the energy, and literally getting up is a victory. So I do like that you're encouraging everyone out there, like no matter where you are on your energy level skills or where you are on getting your dreams manifested or feeling good or doing what you want to do, taking the little steps and celebrating. And the celebration actually, it sounds like a repatterning of this to kind of keep encouraging, like, you feel different and then you don't have to go back into the past. It sounds like you do one thing and you also celebrate, and that is like a little magic combination to keep you motivated, but also to kind of start to rewire your process that no, this is really what I'm stepping into.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And we're kind of trained to focus on what we didn't get done and the negative. And this is to kind of help repattern that because if we're just focused on what we didn't do, and again, going into that shame, that guilt, those low vibrational feelings that we feel in our body, that doesn't serve us. That doesn't help us to get out of it. It's not very motivating by doing that. I mean, yeah, we can be, kind of pushed by that pain and that feeling of discontent. But what's even more helpful is kind of coming from like, okay, yeah, I did do something. And even if you didn't get out of bed, but you searched something that was going to help you on the internet, or you sent an email or made a phone call to a friend, maybe you just needed that support. Like if you are in that space of
Mhm.
healing and just made that little bit of an effort rather than thinking, okay, well, I didn't get out of bed. I suck. I'm just like, what's the point? Why am I here? It's to help like repattern that.
That's a really good point. I like that you just are like looking at those because those thoughts do come up like, I suck, I'm a loser, there's this and that. I know we're not ever supposed to say those things because it's like, oh, don't say them. But like, that's really what's going on in your head. And you want to acknowledge that you're really saying them. So then this is a great anecdote to that because You really have to try to accept yourself where you are. And a lot of your work does work with acceptance. And you started to say some stuff in your body. And I would like to talk a little bit more about transcendence, what that is, how you interpret it, and how it has helped you and or your clients. Any stories you would like to tell? So you have the floor for a while, because I
Yeah. So
know.
TranscenDance is a movement modality. We say it's like taking the mindfulness of yoga off the mat into free form movement and infusing it with joyful music and fun, but it's really intentional. So a lot of people look, oh, TranscenDance, that sounds like fun. Like it's going to be like a fun, like workout thing. And it's, yes, you are moving your body and you will feel your heart rate increase and you will feel your body moving in different ways. But the intention behind it is to really connect with that body, to move through trauma, to release any low vibrational emotions that are in your body, that guilt, that shame. I know you do a lot of work with movement and releasing trauma. And we've heard this quote before. It's not my quote. I don't know whose quote it is, but you know, our issues live in our tissues. And so this is a way to kind of like move through that through movement. And I'm coaching you at the same time. So what to focus on. So it's not just, okay, yeah, just put on a song and dance. That's great. That can definitely shift energy and shift your mood and even shift emotions from your body. But it's also about intentionally, like it's a process, is a 10-stage class. Like there's 10 stages within that hour class, and we're moving through different stages to release, to repattern, to celebrate, to heal, and focus on our body and being grateful for it and the fact that we're breathing, even that, just being grateful that we're breathing. We take time to pause and we set an intention before the class so that we're kind of working with that intention through the class to shift from maybe it's this procrastination mode where you're not feeling like you're getting anything done and setting that intention to be like move into like that inspired action and motivation to do so. So that's what we do. And it's for any mobility level. So you can do transcendence from your bed. So maybe that's your when you didn't get out of bed, but you could do a transcendence class. Because even if you can't move all your body, you don't have to because you move your way. There's no choreography, there's no steps to follow. I'm guiding you on movements that you can do. I'm doing them with you, but you don't have to do what I do. You want to become aware of your body. A lot of times we're so disconnected from our body that we don't know that moving it in this way is gonna hurt you, like maybe your shoulder, oh well, I just need to move it and stretch it and it'll get better. Well, but that's not really loving your body and caring for it and listening to it. You have to like say, like, you know what? No, this doesn't feel good. Let me move in a different way. And then maybe it does loosen up. You kind of release that. But there's no force, there's no choreography. So it's for all movement levels and mobility. And yeah, so it's really good. And a lot of people, when I mention transcendence, oh, I don't dance. Oh, you don't want to see me dance. They get really embarrassed about the dance aspect. And that's just so funny to me because it's in us. It's part of our intuitive spiritual nature because you see babies when music comes on, they move. It's just about moving. I'm like, you can move and there's a song on. That's a dance, basically. This thing like, oh, it has to be look this way and be perfect. And and that's great. And it's beautiful. And some people are so talented in dance and it's great. It's a gift. But there's more to it. It's just you bring it down to nuts and bolts. It's moving to music. Just move your body. You can just even go like this or move your finger or something.
I love that. I mean, even that the name, just when you were talking about this, it's like, it's also transcending what dance means. Like dance is a way to, we have to define things with words and have people understand kind of what it is. But at the same time, it's kind of deceiving in a way because dance is not, it's not like you're going to do a choreography dance. It's not like you're going to a jazz dance class or something else. It's transcending with dance, with movement. And I do think that's so important to say. And I was going to ask you about chronic illnesses or people that have lower energy or disabilities or things like that. And you answered it already that it's really about moving to honor. And you talked about even with the shoulder stuff, like you're honoring how your body wants to move in that moment. There's no shoulds and trust. And I think by doing that, you get more in touch with your body to what they need, and it develops a trust. I know for me, like, I go through different emotions. Today I woke up really puffy. My like a stability scale that I have with this device is like a 2. It's been like that all week. And I was like, what's going on with me? Like, come on, body, we're feeling good. Like this is like, why are you bumming me out? But there's something, a lot of inner stuff that I have changed to try to help my healing, which I think is just kind of throwing me off to one side, and hopefully it'll balance out. But like today, if you ask me about how I am with all my chronic illness stuff, I'd be like, ugh, God, I hate it. But if you would have asked me like 5 days ago, I'm like, oh, I'm fine. I'm rocking it. I'm good. Everything's manageable. And it hasn't been manageable. It's changed. And that's the thing with chronic illness. So for those of you that don't know, let me list my all my things. Lipedema, which is a fat disorder that's also a connective disorder. Hypermobility EDS, which is, and you can be hypermobile on any spectrum and you have some symptoms that just if you're not diagnosed with specifically HEDS, if you have hypermobility spectrum disorder or just hypermobility, you have some things that could trigger you. Mast cell activation syndrome is connected to the last 2 I said. ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, and then POTS, which is, I can never say it, but basically it has to do with heart rate and blood flow regulation. So I get dizzy, things like that. And all of these things that you described, Didi, would be like perfect because depending on whatever I'm doing, you're guiding and telling me, okay, now move this. And it does, I've done it before and it is wonderful. It's a progression through the different stages. So there's different movements. So you're not doing it's not the same beat. It's not the same movement, right? The whole time it's varied. So in those 10 steps throughout the class, you have also natural changes in rhythm that you can adjust to. I just want to make sure I check in with you that I'm saying it correctly.
Yes, that's correct. And also, like, I've had people come to class and they'll be like, afterwards, they'll tell me, and I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to be a little bit better at explaining this. But they'll be like, so like there's some songs that are very like high energy songs. Like it's kind of like that culmination. Like we start very like basically in like a meditation and then move all the way up the arc into like a high energy song, high energy movement, and then bring that back down and back into meditation. So there have people have told me because prior to getting to that highest energy, we're doing a lot of releasing. And they said when we get there, they felt like, oh, they just wanted to kind of move more slowly. And you can. You don't have to go with the music. Now, I'm guiding you on what the process is. And it's very intentional. And Jennifer Joy Jimenez created this. It's very intentional in the way that the steps are and how they will help you to release and transform. However, it's also about listening to your body and doing what feels right to you. So giving yourself permission to be like, okay, you know what? My body right now just needs to slow it down. And because we go to these classes and they're like, okay, push harder, like go, like, cycle up that hill or whatever. And you're just like, and you feel like, okay, I'm going to be the loser if I like slow it down or if I just like get off this bike and head out of the class or whatever it is. And so you push yourself harder. So it's not this push energy. It's really this flow and really becoming an expert in ourselves and learning what we need and honoring that as we need it. So a lot of times we just dismiss it and that is not helpful to us in the long run.
And that is so true. And I love that the work does do that, does have you like honor what you need right there because, even in a transcendence class, I mean, like we're human. So I've had to say a lot to my instructors when I go to group classes. I give them my list. Most of them, they've never heard of anything I've had. Like I hadn't heard of it and I've done it for 25 years and I hadn't heard of most of them. And they're like, oh, you could do more to me. And I was like, well, and then I've had to be like, go against every grain and everything in my body to say, but actually I can't because I know if I do, and I don't say all this, but I say, no, I don't want to, or no, that's not going to be good for me, or whatever. Just because I can do it doesn't mean I should do it. Right.
Right.
And it is learning those moments that you sound like if the music is high, but you feel like moving slower, to trust what your body needs, then it's going to help transfer into a lot of different boundaries. But I also love that in that moment of that peak, that's like the joy and celebration. Right.
Yes. Absolutely. Uh,
And we don't get to there's not a lot of things that are, like, focused on, like, let's feel the fun and joy in a like, yeah, like, go out, drink, or have fun, or do an activity, and that's fun. But in this, it's very beautiful work that you do with you facilitate this because, like, you're also picking out the joy in that, right?
yeah, exactly. So it's like it is in that stage of surrender. It is pretty much just kind of letting spirit move you, letting your body move intuitively, and also focusing on what you would love to create in your life and celebrating it as if it's happening now. So you really like feel that energy, that vibration as you're focusing on what it is that you would love to create. Maybe it is this vibrant, healthy body that you love living in, or this confidence that you have, and then moving that and closing your eyes, envisioning that, and just kind of then pouring that your cell recognition. Now your cell recognize that like this is you, like you're living this life, like this feels great. You know what it feels like.
I love that because it is a cell recognition. Because when you're forced to do like, my cells are doing all sorts of stuff. I want them to do other things, and they have their own agenda, right? But it's also to celebrate joy, and I think that's a hard thing for most people to do. I mean, I know it's hard for me to recognize my own accomplishments, and that's not with anything to do with a chronic illness issue. So to have that moment to celebrate, there's a little bit we talked about uncomfortability of change. I know there's a lot of superstition around, I mean, in my life, in my world, I don't know, are we Gen X or are we boomers? We're Gen X, right? Or
The
no?
next
I don't know. I'm older than you. I'm 50.
definitely not a
So
book.
I'm 50.
No.
I'm almost 55. So there was a lot of
My.
in my world of like, don't do too like strive super hard, but don't really celebrate because something bad might happen. There's like a weird superstition, like do everything, run, like go for it. And if you're not going 100%, then, what are you doing? But don't be like too cocky because then it'll all come crumbling down. And I think cellularly, we tell ourselves all sorts of stuff. So to have that space of like, okay, now I'm going to celebrate me, like that could be a little jarring for some old superstitious person that they're not even and I don't even believe that. I really like if you were to ask me if anything is possible, yeah, celebrate 100%. But I do know that that's something that comes up and has been thematic for me to kind of be like, oh, I don't know, should I say it out loud? Because
Yeah.
then it might change.
Right. And that's a good point because, yes, we do. A lot of us have been brought up to think these are the paradigms, these are those limiting beliefs that are just running in the background of our mind and our thoughts and dictating kind of what we're doing, what we don't do. And it is like, oh, well, if I say it, then I might jinx it, right? I'm going to jinx it. Or also, it's like, oh, don't boast, don't be proud, like don't be you're conceited or arrogant, like you said. So we put these terms on it, and Granted, I'm sure there's plenty of people that are like, that's not a healthy way to be either. But the fact that you can't feel like you can celebrate yourself because it's something bad, that needs to kind of get repatterned. And yeah, there's a lot of uncomfortableness in taking a transcendence class for some people because of the movement, because of what you're working through. A lot of like I see where it's like they don't drop into their body until like sometimes till the mid or end of the class, or maybe not even like it has to go through multiple classes to get to that point. And then there's some people who are like that and they're crying and they're letting the emotions flow, which is exactly what we encourage you to do in the class. But, we're all at different levels. And it's just, again, like honoring and loving your body where you are and yourself where you're at, and still giving yourself that freedom to transform it as well.
And you said something about well, I'm interpreting of affirmations if you didn't actually say it. But that's one thing that has always kind of driven me crazy in the space of like self-improvement, because I believe that affirmations and what you tell yourself 100% affects how you do like your life. However, just by saying certain things doesn't always make them come
Right.
true, right? And you actually, with this work that you do, specifically all of your work, you really take in these things that aren't just like, yeah, there might be a dream or they might be a level like I want to get to, but then you ground it in a certain way. So either through TranscenDance and other things you do, about how you make those statements have more meaning behind them than just saying them and hope, crossing your fingers if I say them enough. Or, I'm sure, you've heard people, I mean, I know I've tried to manifest stuff and I'm like, oh, it doesn't come true. This is BS. But I do know there's a connection, but there's a process behind that to make that come true. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because I know you're very good at like bridging both the gaps of like having this beautiful affirmation or belief and then giving a process to make it come to fruition.
Yeah, so it's true. Like affirmations do work. However, we're kind of like overloaded with like, oh, say this affirmation, or, look in the mirror and say this to yourself, like, oh, I'm wonderful. And it's true. At first, a lot of times we don't believe them. And then we kind of stop saying them too. So there's more to manifesting than just saying these things and putting it up on your vision board. And what it really does come from is our energy, our vibration. So becoming a vibrational match for what it is that you are wanting to create. So becoming a vibrational match to that affirmation. So not only saying the words, but also envisioning it. So if you're saying, I am vibrant, strong, healthy, kind of imagining what that looks like, not just the words can fall flat, but closing your eyes, envisioning what does that look like to you? How does that feel in your body? What are you doing? What are you wearing? How are you showing up in the world? Integrating that affirmation visually and vibrationally to that life that you would love in 2 years. So there's a lot more to affirmations than just saying them.
Yeah. And you're very skilled at that. And you're not everyone is, but you're very skilled at like giving the reality check with it is like, okay, say them, but then that's a lot of information that you're adding other than just the words, right? So you have built this bigger picture. And then you also have these techniques that you do with the transcendence, because that's from what I'm remembering. And also just what you said earlier is like you set an intention for whatever that is. And then you can explore all the different emotions that might come with that, right? Like if I want to have like this healthy body, and the reality is like it's not healthy. There's stages of like I could grieve it, I could be mad at it, I could do whatever about it. And then I have an opportunity wherever I'm feeling that day and whatever comes up but there is that opportunity during the class then to celebrate the body that I do have now and that I would like to have it become into. So it's not just like a one-time thing, it's repetitive. Doing these classes every time you can then offers an opportunity to be kind of like a self check-in, like where you are. Is it easy to celebrate this thought? Do you have the same affirmation? I mean, because I think it's important if you are doing any manifestation work with affirmations that it is consistency, because that's one of the things you started. You have to say, you can't say it twice in the mirror and be like, "Ugh, this is nonsense."
Yeah.
You have to be like,
Like we like I said, those paradigms, like, well, I don't have the time to say my affirmation. It takes like if you like I've done that to myself, like even with my vision, like, connecting with that broader vision. And then, we create that broader vision, that big vision of what we would love to create, and then maybe chunk it down to an affirmation. So we're working with something even bigger to begin with. But I'm like, oh, I need to connect with my vision today. I don't have time for that. So one day I recorded myself saying my vision. How much time did it take? Like less than 5 minutes. Like I don't have, but it's a way to keep us stuck.
the same. Yeah. I love that you said it because, Didi knows me and I am the worst. I have lots of ideas and I even have it organized, but it's part brain fog, part my issues, but I think part my personality is that I forget my routine. I forget that I have it written down, or I forget that, oh, go and open this book because then I'll move stuff and change stuff. And then I literally forget. So it's both. But yeah, you have to put work into it. There's more effort. And I love that you have so many different ways in how you work that it's not just one way. It's very creative. And you are a very creative person. And I just want to talk a little bit more about that. And because I think everything you said also is very spiritual, but there's this creative element that comes through you, and how you even problem solve with people is very creative in helping them. And I know you do some creative things, hobbies and stuff. Do you want to talk about adding that kind of creative element into life
Yeah.
when you work with people or just in general to help anyone out there that maybe is chair-ridden or bedbound and they don't have the energy for creativity, but
Mhm,
you're
mhm.
a creativity expert. In my opinion, you think of really fun, different, unique ways around that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, and that's the thing. For a long time, I thought I was not creative and didn't kind of identify as a creative person. I have a mom who is super creative. Like she can make anything, sew anything, paint. I take a art class and it looks like a 2-year-old did it. Not a very 2-year-old, It's like, okay. But what I've found over the years is, there's so many different ways to have that creative expression in your life. So it doesn't have to look one way. A lot of times when we think of creativity, we look at something like physical, tangible. And it's, again, like being connected to spirit, being connected to God, and like opening up, like, what do you want to show me? Like, especially like when I'm working with client, when I'm working with a mastermind in that group in TranscenDance, I connect first before I go in, like, God help me, like, speak through me, like, help me so that I can find a way to help them. Or there are times like with the mastermind class, so we do like mindset stuff, we do movement. So I come up with presentation, a lesson, and sometimes it's like 2 days before the thing, and I still don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know it's gonna drop in and I'm gonna hear it somewhere. It could be in listening to a podcast. It could be listening just to music. It could be moving. It could be just one little word or soundbite that's like, "Oh, this is what I should do." And it serves people well, and I like to tap into the creative aspect because spirit loves fun. Like our body loves fun, our mind loves fun. And a lot of times we don't really give ourselves enough time to do that and do that creative expression. So we'll make vision boards sometimes or prayer boards, or we'll find just different activities that we could do periodically and with my clients that is going to serve you in a way that's going to help like shift that energy and get you excited and motivated about what you're doing, but it's still connected to that transformational outcome, a vision driven creative expression.
Beautiful. I love it. So I have many more questions, but I know don't want to keep you all day. So my main question first is, so if people listening out there and they're interested in transcendence or interested in having a transformational coach, and I love that and I don't know if I said it earlier, but as a reminder, your business is called Dreams by Design. And I know that's no accident. You're very good. That's like one of the things you're really creative with is naming things. Like it's pretty brilliant. So you are dreaming, but it's by design. And also there's a plan when it comes to design. It's not just like pre-designed for you or just like, these are the steps. It's more about creating a structure to make that dream a reality. And you are very proficient in that. Like I think it also comes from having a numbers gal. Like, being in banking, there is something it seems like, oh, that's not related, but it is. I mean, it's foundational work, right? You have to create foundation structures. You like have to stay in there. You were there for 25 years. You know what I mean? You're very like solid and you learned things that also transfer, whether they're like direct or not, because being in a business, being in like right now, financial world, like how do you create things? Right. So you're very good at that. So tell people how they can connect with you. What are some of the things you offer? What's available right now at the time of this podcast and in the future?
Yeah, so that you can connect with me through my website, dreambydesigncoaching.com. And also through there, you can set up a vision discovery session if that's something that you're interested in. And I do one-on-one coaching. And also I have my women's mastermind, which we do meet in person. So we're here in the South Bay of LA. We meet in Rolling Hills and also TranscenDance. So I currently don't have like a class that I have on a regular basis, but I do them here and there. And I can do one-on-one through Zoom, one-on-one TranscenDance class. And that's really great because we can really focus on the person and your issues and you don't feel self-conscious because there's not as self-conscious because there's not as many people in the class. And also I have some other things through the pipeline, some like power hours to help people with really like having that structured time to get things done so that we feel like we're moving forward. Well, we're not feeling like it. We are moving forward. And yeah, so all of that I do post on Instagram and Facebook. And up until now, I'm not the best about posting. But when I have an event, it is on there.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on Instagram all the time, but I'm not good at Instagram. But I always tell people that. But the best way is like it sounds like through your website, it usually it's pretty up to date all the time, right? And email or if they DM you, you're on that. Even if you don't
Yeah.
post, then you're available there. And one final question I always ask every guest. Looking back over the gestalt of your life and also working with clients and everything, what is the one thing you wish you would have known sooner or done sooner? Or what's kind of one piece of advice you can offer someone out there right now that you kind of see as a theme that would have been helpful to you along your journey or what you find that you say to clients to help them?
Well, yeah, that's interesting because it's kind of twofold. So without everything that has happened in our life, we wouldn't be where we're at now. So we do want to be grateful for all that. But I wish I would have had more confidence in myself and actually going forward with things that drop into my mind. Like we've all had that moment where we're like, we see something and we're like, oh, I thought of that like years ago, but we didn't take that action on it. So it was really like being more action driven and kind of going for it and knowing that like it may not work out and maybe yeah later on down the line you'll be like yeah I came up with that and I tried to make it happen and it didn't, well, that's fine. It was that person's, that's for them, right? But
Mhm.
I have had where it's like I've created like this whole theme and book and everything, and then I'll see it like, and I didn't tell anybody about it. I see it as a parody on Saturday Night Live. I'm like, how did that to go? I have a book with it. So now I can't come out with it because they'll think I stole it from Saturday Night Live. So I think it's really that, like just having that confidence, that gumption, that action to go for it. And I like something that you said earlier that I think is so important is the fact that, a lot of times we were like, oh, I can't do this or that for whatever reason. And then it doesn't happen. And we just kind of like let things go. And it's really about like kind of like moving forward, taking that action. It may happen, it may not. And it's just about like just putting one step in front of the other and taking those steps and doing the action. That is so important.
I love that because confidence definitely plays part in all this. And then I love that you said that take the action anyway because it may not end up for us, right? But you then, by actually doing it, then that's when you know. And that's what's beautiful about what you said, because putting out your book or doing whatever, that's something that you've created. And I mean, I would just say, put out the book.
Right. Yeah. And
I
it's
know.
like just taking the action, just going forward with it. And a lot of times then when we explore things, we realize, oh, that's not for me. And I think that's what you had mentioned before that I was trying to speak to. Uh, it's like we realize, oh, that's not for me. But that's okay because now it's not stuck. It's not, taking space up in our brain that like, oh, I should do this. I said I was going to do this. I never did it. Or I really want to do this. And yeah, maybe you do. But then when you go forward, you realize, oh, that's not for me. But in the process, you discover what is. You discover, okay, this isn't for me. You cut that away. And then you're able to open up that space for what is for you to come to you.
Oh, I love that. That's beautiful. What a beautiful note to end on, just so everyone can resonate with like opening up the space to have things come to you that needs to come to you. So beautiful. Well, thank you so much for all your time. I totally love this conversation. And I think it's so important to speak to these things in the chronic illness community, because just because we do have some more limitations with energy, that doesn't mean that you can't do things like transcendence. You can't find things that are finding your creativity and really helping you transition into finding that joy and having a connection. So, whether it's higher connection, friend connection, you talked about just doing a phone call, reaching out, having connection, finding your creativity, and really trying to allow yourself to experience joy. And I really think that that's a lot of what your work encompasses, if I had to kind of put it all together. So Didi, again, thank you so much for being here. And I encourage everyone. So all of Didi's links are going to be down below as well. And I'll try to update it when she has workshops and everything. So I encourage you, especially if you're interested in TranscenDance, to reach out to her because it is a beautiful experience. So
Thank you.
thanks.
All right.
Bye for now. Bye. If this episode made you feel even more seen, brought you clarity, or reminded you that you're not alone, please take a moment to rate, review, and send it to someone who needs that same reminder. You can find more tools, blog posts, and support over at donnapiper.com. And hey, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Got a question for me? Every month I do a listener coaching episode, and I'd love to hear from you. Send your questions, stories, or flare-up confessions to donna@donnapiper.com. And you just might hear your answer on the show. Until next time, dear body, I'm listening, and I am so glad that you are here.